Key concepts that we will discuss in complexometric titration. First, we will talk about some basic concepts, that what is titration and endpoint, and what is indicator that is used in titrations, and in complexometric titration. Then we will talk about some basic concepts which are important to understand before we discuss about complexometric titrations. That is about complex formation and ligands, and then the types of ligands. And in types of ligand, we will discuss different types, and in case of polydentate or chelating ligands, we will discuss about EDTA, because in complexometric titrations, EDTA, ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid, is most commonly used. So we will discuss about EDTA in detail. Next, we will discuss the principle of complexometric titrations, that what is the basic principle and how we can perform complexometric titrations, and then the indicators that are used in complexometric titrations. So we will take different examples, and we'll see that which kind of indicators would be used for which matters, and at which pH range these can show the different colors. So in this lecture, we will discuss only one or two types of complexometric titrations, and other types we will discuss in next lecture. Types of complexometric titrations, which are direct titration, back titration, replacement titration, indirect titration. Before going to complexometric titrations, first we should know what is titration, what is meant by titration. Titration is a technique in which solution of known concentration is used to determine the concentration of unknown solution. टाइट्रेशन में होता क्या है कि एक सोल्यूशन जो है जिसकी कंसंट्रेशन अननोन है उसको आप डिटरमिन करना चाह रहे हैं, तो उसके लिए एक सोल्यूशन जिसकी कंसंट्रेशन आपको नॉन होती है, जिसे हम स्टैंडर्ड सोल्यूशन भी कहते हैं, उससे आप उसकी कंसंट्रेशन को, अननोन सोल्यूशन की कंसंट्रेशन को डिटरमिन करते हैं। सिंपली टाइट्रेशन में जैसे आपने एसिड बेस्ड टाइट्रेशन पढ़े होंगे, जिसमें हम सोडियम हाइड्रोक्साइड जो HCl ले सकते हैं, उनके सिंपली जो टाइट्रेशन जो आप पहले भी कर चुके होंगे, परफॉर्म भी कर चुके होंगे. सो व्हाट इज एंड पॉइंट? The end point of titration is a point where the indicator just changes color. For example, जब आप उसमें एसिड बेस्ड टाइट्रेशन की हम बात करते हैं कि आपने जो है वो फ्लास्क में वो चीज़ लेनी है जिसको आपने डिटरमिन करना है, ब्यूरेट में आप नॉन सैंपल ले रहे हैं जिसकी कंसनट्रेशन नॉन है, तो क्या करेंगे आप पहले जो है फ्लास्क के अंदर जो आपके पास फॉर एग्जांपल बेस है, उसमें आप क्या करेंगे, उसको आप उसमें ऐड करेंगे इंडिकेटर का जो भी कलर है, फॉर एग्जांपल अगर ये पिंक है, उसके बाद आप जब उसको ब्यूरेट से जब आप स्टैंडर्ड सॉल्यूशन को ऐड करते हैं जिसकी कंसंट्रेशन आपको पता है, तो उस केस में क्या होगा कि आप जो जब आप ब्यूरेट से उसको ऐड करते जाएंगे अपने सॉल्यूशन को, नॉन कंसंट्रेशन के सॉल्यूशन को, तो एक टाइम ऐसा आएगा कि उसका जो कलर है वो चेंज होना शुरू हो जाएगा. तो जैसे वो कलर चेंज होना शुरू होता है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल पिंक से वो ब्लू में कन्वर्ट हो गया, तो वहाँ पे आप उस रिएक्शन को, टाइट्रेशन को स्टॉप कर देंगे. तो उस तरह फिर आप 2-3 रीडिंग जो है उसको, ये प्रोसेस जो 2 to 3 टाइम्स जो उसको रिपीट करते हैं और फर्दर उसकी कैलकुलेट कर लेते हैं कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ अननोन सॉल्यूशन. So what is meant by complexometric titrations? These are complexometric titrations are based on the formation of complex, and these are useful for the determination of mixture of different metal ions in the solution. And what is complex? Complex actually form when the central atom, which is the metal ion that accepts an electron pair from one or more ligands, then it is called complex. Or you can say that complex is a combination of metal ion and ligand. Metal ion is electron deficient that accepts electron, and ligand is electron. Ligands are mostly electron donating species, and they are electron rich species. So ligand donate their electron pair to the central metal ion, and these two metal ion and ligand can form complex. And this is actually in complexometric titration we study the complex is formed between the ligand and metal ion. Ligands can be of different types. That may be ligands can be monodentate ligands that can give one pair of electrons, bidentate ligands that can give two pair of electrons, tridentate ligands that can give three pair of electrons, and tetradentate that can give four pair of electrons, and adds pentadentate, hexadentate, etc. So here we will discuss types of ligands in detail, that what are unidentate ligands and their examples, and what are bidentate or polydentate ligands. So unidentate ligands are those ligands which have only one donor atom. Like we can say that ammonia can donate one pair of electrons, and chloride and fluoride can donate one pair of electrons to the metal ion. So they are unidentate ligands. So what is bidentate ligands? Bi is were used for two. So ligands with two donor atoms, like which can donate from which have two donor atoms, are called bidentate ligands. And examples of bidentate ligands are ethylene diamine and oxalate ions. So next is tridentate ligands. So ligands which have three donor atoms in one ligand, which can donate three donor atoms, which have three donor atoms, which can donate three pair of electrons to the metal ions. That is known as tridentate ligand. And example of this tridentate ligand is diethylene triamine, or we can also say diene. So the ligands can be of different other types, that could be tetradentate, pentadentate, or hexadentate. So next we will take the example of hexadentate. So hexadentate are ligands which have 6 donor atoms per ligand. So example is EDTA, ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid, as we discussed in previous slides about, as we will discuss this in next slide. So that is, this EDTA is used in complex symmetric titrations. So what are chelating ligands? So multidentate ligands that can simultaneously coordinate to a metal ion through more than one sites. So that type of ligands are called chelating ligands. So these ligands produce a ring-like or cage-like structure. So these are structures, these form a complex with the metal ions, and they form cage-like or ring-like structures. So they are known as chelates. Actually, chelation can increase the stability of complex, and this stability due to chelation is known as chelation effect. So next we will discuss the examples about chelating ligands like EDTA, and how it can bind to the metal ions, and it's about detail about EDTA. Some ligands are also known as chelating agents. Why they are known as chelating agents? That ligands which are able to form two or more coordinate covalent bonds with a metal ion, then it is these kinds of ligands are called chelating agents. So what is coordinate bond or coordinate covalent bond? A bond that is in which both electrons come from the same atom. Like there is a one ligand and it can give a pair of electrons to that metal atom. It is known as, this bond is known as coordinate bond. So in complexometric titrations, ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid, that is also known as EDTA, is a very important reagent for the complex formation titrations. And here in this above you can see right side, it is a formula of ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. You can see that nitrogen in one ligand there are 2 nitrogen molecules, and every nitrogen has 1 pair of electrons. So they can form coordinate covalent bond with a metal ion, like it has 2 sides to donate electrons to one metal ion. In the right, EDTA is actually an amino polycarboxylic acid, and it is colorless and water soluble solid. And its conjugate base is ethylene diamine tetraacetate, that you can see in figure, that we can also represent it is as EDTA -4, or this is also represented by a -4 is also represented by Y-. So EDTA is we can also say that it is chelating agent, and because it is hexadentate, it donates 1 electron pair from each of 2 amino groups, like 1 electron pair comes from 2 nitrogen atoms from that are nitrogen atoms of amine group, and 1 electron pair from each of the 4 carboxylate to the bound metal atoms. So overall, it can give 6 electrons, 2 from nitrogen, 1 electron pair from each nitrogen. Here you can see, and 1 electron pairs from each carboxylate group. So these can bind to the metal atom. So EDTA can form a cage around metal ions, like a spider grasps a fly. The same. Similarly, EDTA can form a cage with that metal ion that is electron deficient. So here the EDTA is electron has an electron in excess, so it can give electrons and 6 electron pairs and can form cage-like structures. EDTA arc has a hexadentate when its 4 charged anions, 4 carboxylates are in anionic form, and they can combine with the metal. So competition of the metal ion with protons dictates that the solution must be well buffered. So a proper pH should be maintained for the complexation of EDTA with metal ions. So we can say that this EDTA is, we can also say these kind of titrations, complex symmetric titration, as EDTA titrations. So what is indicator? An indicator is capable of producing a definite color change that is usually used to detect the endpoint of titration. So Eriochrome black tea indicator is widely used for the complex symmetric titrations or EDTA titrations. Following indicators can be used in complexometric titrations. One is a mordant black 2 or Eriochrome black tea. It is also known as solochrome black tea. And color changes, pH range, its complex formation is from 6 to 7. And color change that happens is from red to blue in complexes form. And which metals can be detected from this, for which metals this indicator can be used, that can be calcium, barium, magnesium, zinc, cadmium, manganese, lead and mercury. The next indicator that is used is muroxide, or it is also known as ammonium perchlorate. Its color changes from violet to blue and the pH range is 12. And it can metals that can be detected by this indicator are calcium, copper or cobalt. Next indicator is catechol violet, and its color changes from violet to red when complexes form, and the complex formation takes place at pH 8 to 10, in the range of 8 to 10, and its metals that can be detected are manganese, magnesium, iron, cobalt and lead. So methyl blue, next that indicator that is used is methyl blue, and it can be used for metals lead, zinc, cadmium, and mercury, and methyl blue color changes from blue to yellow at the pH range 4 to 5 complexes form. For the same metals lead, zinc, cadmium, and mercury, thymol blue could be used, and its color will change from blue to gray. The end point will be gray color, and pH range is 10 to 12. And next indicator that is used is alizarin, and color changes from red to yellow. pH range for complex formation is 4.3. Lead, zinc, cobalt, magnesium, and copper metals can be detected from alizarin indicator. So next indicator that is used is sodium alizarin sulfonate, and complex color changes is from blue to red when complex is formed. Then complex of ligand and that metal ion is formed, then it converted from blue to red. So pH range is 4 for this, and aluminium and thorium metals can be detected by this sodium alizarin sulfonate. Next indicator that is used is xylenol range, and that color is lemon to changes from lemon to yellow color. In case of bismuth thorium, pH range at which the complex is formed is 1 to 3, and for lead and zinc, pH range should be from 4 to 5, and for cadmium and mercury, pH range from 5 to 6. On pH range at 5 to 6, these complexes are formed. So the xylenol is used for the different metals, bismuth, thorium, lead, zinc, cadmium, and mercury, but the ranges of pH are different for the formation of different metal complexes. There are different types of complexometric titrations, and these types include direct titration, back titration, number 3 is replacement titration, and indirect titration. Later on we will discuss these all types in detail one by one. So out of different types of complexometric titrations, first we will discuss direct titration. It is the simplest and the most convenient method in which the standard solution of EDTA. Standard solution is actually that solution whose concentration is known. So the standard solution of EDTA is slowly added to the metal ion solution whose concentration is unknown till the end point is achieved. An end point is that point at which the color of indicator is changed. So it is this direct titration is similar to the simple acid-base titration. In this titration, you take the unknown sample metal ion solution in flask, and you take standard solution of EDTA whose concentration is known in the burette, and you add indicator in flask. And for example, before we take the example of that metal and that EBT that form complex with the metal ion, and its color was wine red. When we added EDTA from the burette, so the color of at one point the color of that wine red to color changes from wine red to blue. So it shows that the EDTA form complex with the metal ions and EBT is in free form. So next is the back titration. That is also type of complexometric titration. In back titration, an excess of a standard solution of EDTA is added to that metal ion solution that is being analyzed, and it is added in excess. EDTA is added in excess that it can form complex with all the metal ions that are present in that solution. So excess of that EDTA that is left after the complex formation with the metal ion is back titrated with the standard solution of second metal ion. I will further explain this, that how we will do this back titration. So this method is useful if the analyte precipitate in the absence of, if analyte is precipitate out, it forms precipitate in the absence of EDTA, or it reacts too slowly with EDTA, or it blocks the indicator. In that case, we can use this back titration method. So for this purpose, if for example, for the determination of manganese, determination of manganese is done by this method because direct titration is not possible. Actually, manganese can form precipitate in the form of manganese hydroxide. So excess EDTA remaining, that is remain after complexation, that is back titrated with standard zinc solution. And here Eriochrome black tea is used as indicator. सो बैक टाइट्रेशन में एक्चुअली जैसे हम मैंगनीज के एग्जांपल लेते हैं कि जिसमें बैक टाइट्रेशन हम क्यों करते हैं, जिसमें डायरेक्ट जो है टाइट्रेशन से पॉसिबल नहीं होती उस चीज़ को एनालाइज करना, बिकॉज जैसे वो प्रेसिपिटेशन जिस केस में अगर हो जाती है या फिर उस केस में हम बैक टाइट्रेशन यूज़ करते हैं जब किसी भी मेटल का जो है EDTA के साथ जो वहाँ पे हम कंप्लीटिंग एजेंट यूज़ कर रहे हैं उसके साथ रिएक्शन बहुत स्लो हो या फिर इंडिकेटर को ब्लॉक कर दे, तो ब्लॉकेज हो जाए, तो उस केस में हम बैक टाइट्रेशन को यूज़ करते हैं। यहाँ पे हम एग्जांपल लेंगे, जनरल एग्जांपल हम लेंगे। जैसे हम एनालाइट हमारे पास है जिसको हम एक्स कह रहे हैं और EDTA हम एक्सेस में लेंगे। फॉर एग्जांपल EDTA जो है वो स्टैंडर्ड सोल्यूशन हम उसका देते हैं तो उसकी कंसनट्रेशन नॉन होगी, वो 0.01 मोलर फॉर एग्जांपल हमने ले ली है और उसकी जो वॉल्यूम हमने लिया है वो 50 ml ली है। उसके बाद क्या होगा कि ये जो X है ये EDTA के साथ कम्प्लेक्स बनाएगा और जो एक्सेस में है EDTA, इन जितने नंबर ऑफ मेटल आयंस हैं वो उसके साथ EDTA के साथ कम्प्लेक्स बना देंगे और जो बाकी बच जाएगा EDTA जो अनरिएक्टेड फॉर्म में है, रिमेनिंग है, उसको फर्दर जो है हम टाइट्रेट करेंगे जिंक के स्टैंडर्ड सोल्यूशन के साथ। फॉर एग्जांपल यहाँ पे हमने जो है EDTA का 0.01 मोलर लिया था, तो हम जिंक का भी स्टैंडर्ड सोल्यूशन लेंगे जिसकी कंसनट्रेशन फॉर एग्जांपल 0.01 मोलर है, तो उसके साथ हम उसको टाइट्रेट करेंगे EDTA को। फॉर एग्जांपल जो हमने पहले जो सोल्यूशन जो EDTA का लिया था जो कि एक्सेस में लिया था 50 ml था, और जो यहाँ पे जिंक का जो है 20 ml अगर यूज़ हुए हैं फॉर एग्जांपल EDTA को टाइट्रेट करने के लिए, तो इट मीन्स कि हमारे पास रिमेनिंग जो EDTA का सोल्यूशन था वो हमारे पास कितना था, 20 ml था। तो हम ओवरऑल जो 50 ml है उसमें से 20 ml जो है उसको माइनस कर देंगे, सब्सट्रैक्ट कर देंगे, तो हमारे पास 30 ml आएगा और ये 30 ml हमें शो करता है कंसनट्रेशन ऑफ एनालाइट के इतने EDTA के मॉलिक्यूल्स ने जो है एनालाइट के इतने 30 मॉलिक्यूल्स के साथ रिएक्ट किया है और कम्प्लेक्स बनाया है। तो इस तरह हम बैक टाइट्रेशन से उस केस में जहाँ पे प्रेसिपिटेशन हो जाती है मेटल आयंस की, तो इस केस में हम उसको बैक टाइट्रेशन से उसकी कंसंट्रेशन को फाइंड आउट कर सकते हैं। I hope you got my points in this lecture and the assignments that you have to complete are first is that what is the basic principle of complexometric titration. I think you will clearly understand from examples, so you can easily tell that what is the basic principle of complexometric titration. So next assignment that you have to find is you have to find examples of tetradentate and bidentate ligands. We discuss a few examples, then you can find the example of these ligands, and if you have any questions you can ask me. Thank you. That's all. Thank you very much.